Hey, how's it going everybody? I'm Shadow Stitch and I like solo running Pokemon Black and White. So last week I finished off an entire month of playing with dragons with the pseudo-legendary of the Unova region, Hydreigon, and that was so much fun. I showcased the run that I played on stream alongside D1, so definitely go check that out if you are interested. And as we bring in the tier list, we see it landed a really solid placement in the B tier. Not half bad for a Pokemon that was a first stage until level 50 and then didn't even get its final stage until level 64. So yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed by how well that Pokemon did. So yeah, well, I'm slowly but surely filling out this tier list with some of my re-ranks. You know, we see we've picked up a couple more, like Crocodile Behemoth and Zebstrika right there, so not half bad. And yeah, all the rest of the Pokemon do have videos on this channel, and there's plenty more that I still need to re-rank with my new settings and all that fun stuff. So go check out that playlist, link down below at the end of the video and on that little iCard thing that pops up if you see any things that piques your interest. But stick around because we are going to be starting off Spooky Month with a whole bunch of fun stuff, kicking things off with Golurk. So this Pokemon is incredibly cool. It's got a great design, definitely inspired by golems, like ancient golems and stuff like that. It's just really cool. Like, it also can fly, and it actually just does it like a rocket, and it's awesome. So it has a really cool shiny as well. It was kind of showcased in one of the Victini movies, which is just fun. It's just such a cool Pokemon. In competitive, it hasn't been amazing, but it definitely fits a pretty cool niche, and it got some pretty great moves later on. Like Poltergeist was a huge upgrade to it, along with many other physical attacking ghosts, because there just isn't a lot of great physical ghost type moves. So overall, though, this Pokemon is just really cool. I really don't have a whole ton to say about it, but it's just a good mon, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So you see the rules on screen. There's more niche stuff down below in the description. So let's go ahead and get into it and see how this line does in Pokemon Black and White. As we get the run going, let's go ahead and break down what we're working with today. So we're going to start off with the pre-evolution Golett, and this little guy is not half bad. 74 attack is very solid for a first stage. 50 in both defenses, 59 HP. It's not terrible. And who really cares about the special attack? But we are pretty slow at only 35 base speed, so we're not really going to be outspeeding too much. So the typing Ground and Ghost is actually very solid offensively. We are still in Generation 5, so Steel types do still resist Ghost, but Ground gives us a very powerful option into them. And just overall, Ground has always pretty much been a really powerful offensive typing, so that's not half bad. As for the ability, I chose to go with Iron Fist, although we do have two really solid options for us today, which we'll touch on here in a bit. But I did think that Iron Fist would be overall a little bit better by giving us a 20% boost to all punching moves, which we do pick up a couple of them throughout the run, so that's pretty good. Now, the other option we had was No Guard, which undoubtedly is a really good ability. Being able to bypass all accuracy checks is just fantastic. So yeah, that is very solid, and honestly, I don't think you can go wrong either way with either of the abilities. I just personally feel like Iron Fist was a little bit better overall. Although, shoutouts to D1 because he did do a Golerk video of his own where he played with No Guard, and I helped him plan and play. I watched him play alongside them with that one. So that was a ton of fun. So if you want to see a Golerk using Iron Fist, definitely go check that out. So anyway, Talking about the level up learn set though, we do start off with Pound, Astonish, Defense Curl, and Mud Slap. So at least we get a stab move relatively early on, even though pretty much everything that we're going to be running into is going to be either resisted or straight up immune. We pick up Rollout, which can be paired with Defense Curl very early, which is pretty good. And we get level 13 Shadow Punch, giving us a pretty strong Iron Fist boosted stab right off the bat. We make our way through, all the way through a bunch of other moves. Mega Punch for another Iron Fist boosted move. We're probably going to be skipping Dynamic Punch thanks to that accuracy. And then eventually we will make our way to level 43 where we'll evolve into Golerk. However, I do want to touch on this end fight right here. So his Purloin cannot touch us. All it has is Scratch, but it also has Growl. So thanks to a critical hit, I'm actually able to get through this fight pretty quickly, but I'm definitely going to switch over to Mud Slap to conserve a little bit of PP. So yeah, Purloin pretty slow. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back into it where we're going to touch on Golurk. So this Pokemon is absolutely incredible. 124 base attack is great. Definitely one of the tops of the Nova region. Pretty solid bulk with 80 in both and 89 HP, and still kind of slow at base 55 speed, but it's just on that cusp of being really, still pretty useful. We can, with a plus speed nature, which we are going to be running today, it is going to be pretty solid. So we will eventually pick up Earthquake very late at level 50, but not half bad, and should be able to easily get to that early on. So that's pretty cool. And as for the TM learn set, we learned pretty much everything that you'd kind of expect. We got a bunch of ground moves like Bulldoze. We don't learn Dig though, which is definitely kind of annoying because we're going to be using having to use Magnitude a lot, which kind of sucks. But we also learned some fighting moves like Rock Smash and Brick Break, and Ghost and Fighting is a really solid combination, so that's not half bad. So overall, though, this Pokemon is looking fantastic, and I am really looking forward to doing this run because, you know, while it's kind of slow and while it might struggle a little bit in this early game, I think that it has a ton of great tools. So let's go ahead, face off with Bianca. She's not really going to be any problem because I picked up Rollout early on, and like I said, I can pair that Defense Curl alongside with Rollout, giving me that boost right away. So however, Rollout does definitely miss, so that kind of sucks. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to head into the Dream Yard to do a couple of extra battles here, and then we're going to go ahead and face off with Cheren in the trainer school. Once again, we're just gonna do some nice old Defense Curl Rollout shenanigans and make our way through the gym. So let's go ahead and face off with our first gym leader. We're facing off with Silent because we did take Oshawott, so we're going to just incorporate that Defense Curl Rollout combo, and as long as we don't miss, we should be pretty good. We do have Shadow Punch now for backup just in case, but we don't miss our Rollout, and there we go, we got our first gym badge. So as I kind of alluded to earlier, we are going to be running a plus speed nature, and that's going to be Jolly today. This is going to increase our speed at the cost of lowering our pretty useless special attack, so I will definitely take that. This Pokemon also is a medium fast growth rate Pokemon, so it's not really going to be leveling up very well in this early game. That's why it took us a very long time to even get to level 13, even though we have battled every single trainer in this area. But overall, once we get to those higher levels, it will definitely catch back up. So let's go ahead, beat up these dudes in the Dream Yard right here, get Fennel her science stuff, and then we can head out towards round 3 to do a little bit more training in the preschool and face off with Cheren one more time. Thanks to all that training that we did, we're actually level 15, so we don't actually have to worry about rollout anymore. We can just go ahead and go with some shadow punches. So after a couple pounds to finish off the purloin, which actually shadow punch I think would have been stronger, even resisted, which is pretty funny. We can head into the Wellspring Cave, clear out the plasma dudes in here, catch a couple of HM friends, and then make our way through Route 3, grabbing the glitched rare candy and heading into Nakreen City. Cheren's gonna hook us up with some chesto berries, and then we're gonna head into the Pinwheel Forest, but first grab the Ultra Ball over here on the patio that I've been picking up recently. So we're gonna also get the TM for Rock Smash. This is a fantastic option for us. Ghost and Fighting is an excellent type pairing. We are able to hit basically every Pokemon in existence almost with super effective or neutral damage, and because we're in Generation 5, we don't have any weird type combinations like Hisuian Zoroark or anything like that. So we're also going to grab us our own little Temple right here. This is a great option for us for Surf, but also we will be needing the Persim Berry that it holds, and then we're going to do a whole bunch of training here in Pinwheel, so that's pretty good. We are going to pick up Iron Defense along the way, and even a free Autono. I will definitely take that. Like we said, our medium fast growth rate is pretty slow leveling up in the early game, so we can head back to town, deposit all of our HM friends that we got right here, and is not really any problem, and we can make our way into the gym. As we make our way through the gym, we do have this one scientist, Satomi, here, and she has a herdier where she starts off with X-Defend, and she has Bite, and crits and flinches and stuff, and it's just really annoying. So unfortunately, we do actually take a blackout right there, but I did kind of forget to spend my money on some super potions, so that works. So second time around, she's not really as bad, and we can finish off the one last trainer and then face off with Lenora. If you thought Satomi was bad, Lenora is even worse. We got to deal with Intimidate. We do have Iron Defense to boost our defenses, but critical hits don't care about that, and that really sucks. So usually Ghost types are really powerful in the early game, but not so much in Unova because you have such a massive roadblock right here in Lenora. And yeah, getting Bite super early to deal with these guys is just really not great. So thankfully I am still outspeeding this herdier, but I just do have to stay ahead of the stuff. I'm trying to go for rollouts. I don't think that this is the right decision, and I'm just gonna keep trying this out. I do think that Rock Smash, like we see I'm doing right here, is the way to go. We have the chance to lower defense. I'm still not able to break through. Thankfully, after a couple tries, I am able to take out the herdier. So, but this is just still not very consistent, which kind of sucks. And as we see, Watchog just kind of nukes me after that, so that's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and finally just skip to the winning attempt. Yeah, only 6 blackouts in, not too bad. We do have to take that Intimidate. We're going to set up more Iron Defenses. We're going to go for a Rock Smash, and then land a critical hit on the second one. So that's great. We're at full health for the Watchog. Take about a third from Crunch, get her into Super Potion range, and then another critical hit to just knock out the Watchog. Let's go. You love to see it. So definitely really lucky in that fight. You know, could have been there a little bit longer, but hey, we will take it. We're gonna watch the plasma dude steal a random skull for some reason, and then we're gonna run with it straight into Pinwheel Forest. So not really anything interesting in here. Rock Smash gives us some good coverage into a couple of the dark types on the plasma dude's teams, so that's pretty nice. We're going to just knock out the ranger with the herdier for a little bit of extra experience, beat up the guys on the bridge so they're out of the way when we come back here for a rare candy, cross that gorgeous Skyla bridge, and head into Castelia City. As we enter into the big city, first thing we're going to do is stop by the skyscraper here on the left and go upstairs to grab the TM for Rest. I don't think that I actually used this in the run, but it's not bad to have as a little bit of a safety blanket. So a little bit of time lost there, but not too bad. Then we're going to get a massage downstairs, get a little bit of a boost to our happiness. How you massage a ghost, I don't know, but hey, she's got the magic hands, so there's that. On the North Street, we're going to grab the Eviolite. This is going to be a fantastic held item for us. We do still take quite a bit to evolve until level 43, so this is going to be our go-to option for us, boosting our defense and special defense by 50% as long as we remain that Golurk. So there we go. We're going to make our way through here. Plasma dudes are not a problem. The gym actually is surprisingly easy. Iron Fists are boosted. Shadow Punches actually just kind of power through everything, and we don't actually even take hit that much damage from like things like Razor Leaf or anything, so that's pretty cool. And then we can very quickly face off with Berg. So Berg, on paper, shouldn't be that bad. I do have Iron Defense. Whirlwind is not going to be doing too much to me. It does have Screech, so I just kind of have to stay ahead of that. And then I'm going to go for Shadow Punch. Unfortunately, it looks like I'm just barely missing out on the KO with Whirlwind, but I do get him to use his Super Potions on the Whirlwind, so that's pretty good. Get to level 25, where I'm going to learn Magnitude. It's not really going to be that useful here, but you never know. Looks like it's going to be a nice 2-shot onto the Dwebble, but I have run out of Shadow Punches. I forgot to spend my my Ether on that, so definitely going to take a reset right here. Gonna go ahead and pop that Ether on Shadow Punch and give it another shot. So unfortunately, I still just don't have enough gas in the tank, so I'm going to take another reset, go battle the last gym trainer right here that I usually skip just to get to level 25 so I can start the fight that way. So let's go ahead and just try this again, starting the fight at level 25. The fight's going to start pretty much about the same. We're just going to go for some iron defenses, take some pretty weak pursuits. Just got to make sure that we stay ahead of those screeches that he's putting down. But as we pivot into doing damage, we see we're actually able to very easily hit that Whirlwind into hits, so that's pretty great, and that's thanks to us being over a damage rounding threshold. As we beat down this Levani right here, we're actually tanking the Razor Leafs really well. Of course, we do have to worry about critical hits, but we're able to make it through first try. So damage rounding thresholds, it's not really something that I've touched on too much. If you have watched a bunch of solo challenges, you probably know about them, but for those that haven't, if your level ends in 0, 3, 5, or 8, you actually get a small boost to your damage, and that's just because of the way that damage is calculated in the Pokemon games. This is true even to this day. So if you're kind of struggling in a fight, just kind of get to your next damage rounding threshold and see if it does any better. So let's go ahead, take care of Bianca in the gatehouse here. She's not really too much of a problem. Then I'm going to heal up at the house and do a little bit of training on the fishermen. So these guys give great experience as well as some solid speed EVs. So Cheren do cut it really close, but thanks to us not taking sand damage because we're a ground type, we are able to muscle our way through and get through him and head towards Nimbasa City. After chasing off the plasma dudes, which I thankfully do not have to talk about today, we get the bike from some old guy and a quick chat with Bianca. Then we're set free into Nimbasa. First things first, of course, we are a physical attacker. We're going to grab the TM for return. This is going to give us fantastic neutral coverage into a lot of things, and then pick up a couple hyper potions, which I've been doing more recently, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna top off and then head into the amusement park for our date with N. So N shouldn't be too bad here, but we do kind of have to rely on magnitude a little bit, and yeah, that kind of sucks. So I do have to hold on to Mega Punch, and we get swagger, take a ton of damage to ourselves, plus another hit from the Scraggy, and then we're just kind of too low to live a hit from the Sigilift. So kind of unlucky that fight, so we do have to take yet another blackout. Thankfully, second time around isn't too bad, and we actually win pretty easily. So let's go ahead and make our way through the gym. These guys are going to be no problems whatsoever, outside of some annoying paralysis shenanigans with static, and then we can face off with Elisa. So Elisa can't use her electric moves against us, but her Emolgas do have Pursuit. Not doing too much, but then we get staticked really early on in the fight, and we're having to two-shot these Emolgas. plus some super potion shenanigans, so we're brought pretty low into the yellow. Zebstrika, we get paralyzed, but then we just muscle our way through, brought down into the red, but thankfully we get a good magnitude and we're able to get our 4th gym badge. So yeah, not half bad. You know, little Golurk able to muscle his way through. So let's go ahead, do a little bit of Pokemon dress up and meet up with Cheren out there on Route 5. So this fight is actually kind of a massive pain. So we have to hit a good magnitude on this. Liepard is so annoying, loves to go for things like Torment, which means that his Servine in the back gets more chances to attack because we're not able to just spam Shadow Punch and stuff. Thankfully, we're able to hit through it, but we're Leech Seed, and Tranquil sucks. We only have Return that can touch this thing. We really want to keep Iron Defense and all of our other moves, so thanks to it just spamming Detect on the only turn that I can actually hit it, we take a Blackout. And I'm actually going to take these Blackouts because this is not going to be the only one. This fight is actually pretty rough for us right here. But this fight is also giving us a ton of speed EVs right now, which is actually going to be very good for Golurk and Golerk, because if you remember, we're pretty slow. So I'm actually going to take a bunch of Blackouts right here, you know, catching up in experience, but also getting a ton of speed EVs along the way. And eventually, we will actually win this fight. So it does take me quite a while. We get the Blackout counter all the way up to 13. But overall, I think that this still was a pretty worthwhile endeavor, you know, going for all of this extra experience and speed EVs, so that's pretty good. So let's go ahead, beat up some toddlers, and head into Driftveil City. Pretty usual cold storage shenanigans. We grab the PP up, pop a repel, get an ether and a protein in the grass over here. Since we are a physical attacker, that's going to definitely help us out a little bit. None of the plasma dudes are going to give us any problems. We do have to deal with some demon watchhogs, but Golurk is definitely strong enough just to power right through them, so that's pretty cool. So after that, we're going to grab the expert belt in the market over here and head into the gym where we can face off with Clay. Once again, we're going to be using Clay's Krokorok against him. We're going to set up at 1 Iron Defense, but then he gets a Swagger, so with our Persimberry, that's just a free attack boost. You'll love to see it. So we get a pretty bad magnitude, so Excadrill does live, but then a magnitude 10 on the following turn just nukes that thing. Let's go. 5th gym badge. Always love it whenever I can use this Persimberry Swagger play. It's just always just such a fun time just using his Krokorok against him, because it's definitely really annoying, but of course we need him to cooperate. So anyway, let's go ahead, grab some max repels and some more hyper potions. Bianca on our way out of town is pretty free thanks to us just having really strong moves at this point, and we can head towards Chargestone Cave. Thankfully, the gauntlet's not too much of a problem, and we're going to head downstairs to grab a rare candy and do a couple battles with some ace trainers. This girl right here does have a Lilligant, so we got to be a little bit careful, but thankfully her first 2 members are not really a problem, and they just drop to a couple of Shadow Punches. Lilligant does hit us with a pretty weak Mega Drain, and there we go, nice and easy. So let's head out, battle N on our way out. He's not really too much of a problem. I should mention that I probably should have Bulldoze right here. Slows down the fight a little bit just because magnitude is weird, but you know, that's okay. It's not really that big of a deal. So let's head into Mistralton City. So on our way through Route 7, I run into a free Audino. Definitely will take that. We are slowly but surely getting our way to level 43, where we will reach our final form, and along the way I'm going to battle a couple of extra trainers as well as the Fatfish Nurse to get a nice free heal before we meet up with Skyla at the top. At the top of the tower, we can ring that bell to send Skyla back to the gym. And let me say, hey, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this video. If this piques your interest, I do solo challenges in Pokemon Black and White at least once a week. So feel free to hit that sub button. It definitely is nice to see funny internet number going up. So as we make our way through this gym, I did notice that I kind of forgot something in the tower. I was supposed to grab the spell tag. It's not really going to be that big of a deal in this gym, but yeah, it's definitely going to kind of hinder us a little bit. But we still get to level 43, where we're going to finally evolve up into Golerk, so that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and face off with Skyla. Skyla shouldn't be too bad, but her Swanna can definitely do a lot of damage. Swoobat, though, it's going to drop to just a single Shadow Punch. Swanna's going to come in. I'm going to go for Return for some reason. I'll be honest, I don't know why. And then Shadow Punch is going to just barely miss out on the KO. It did nothing, though, so there's that. Unpheasant's going to come out. It's going to live, but she's already used her potions, and there we go. We get our 6th gym badge. So yeah, definitely the spell tag, you know, not being as my held item right now, kind of made that fight a little bit riskier than it needed to be thanks to that Swanna, but hopefully it's not going to come back to bite me too much, because I am not going back for it. So let's go ahead, meet up with Cheren at the foot of Twist Mountain. Cheren has an Unpheasant now. It's not really that big of a deal, though. It loves to go for Taunt, and that's what it does today. Just waste my time a little bit with a Detect. Although, because I don't have that spell tag, Servine actually lives and sets up a Leech Seed, but it doesn't really matter because Simipour just crits me with a Scald, and I wasn't really going to be living that anyway. So, do take one reset, but I was prepared. Second time around actually isn't that bad. I do get the one shot on the Servine, which is pretty good. Simipour doesn't crit me, and despite cutting it incredibly close against the Liepard, I'm able to win. See Alder's wonderful bionic legs, get the HM for Surf, and I can head into Twist Mountain. I don't really do anything extra in Twist Mountain this time around. Not really anything really needed, so let's go ahead and go straight and pop out on the other side at Icarus City. As soon as we get into Icarus, though, we are going to go by the Pokemon Center and grab the TM for Brick Break from the old lady here. So, remember how I was talking about Ghost and Fighting being an excellent type combination? Well, there we go. We have it once again, and it is going to be great. So, we have pretty much perfect coverage right now. We can hit the vast majority of Pokemon for super effective or neutral damage, and nothing in this gym is going to be too much of a problem. So we do have to worry about the Cryogonals a little bit, especially the second one. It is very fast, but other than that, no problems, and we can face off with Bryson. Say it with me, folks. Bryson is an absolute joke. We're gonna go for that Expert Belt boosted Brick Break. Beartic's gonna come out. It does live, get swaggered, but Golurk is just gonna lock in. He does not care about that. So Cryogonal, that thing is pathetically frail on the defense side, and there we go. We got our 7th gym badge. Come on, Bryson, you gotta step it up, buddy. I even gave you a chance this time around. You just couldn't capitalize. Oh well. Let's head to the Dragon Spiral Tower. As we make our way through, it is story time. So I am curious if you guys remember your first Halloween costume. So for me, it was, I don't remember too much about being, you know, really young, but I have seen pictures of me very early, and I guess the first Halloween costume that I remember was one that my grandma made for me. It was like a custom made T-Rex costume. You know those like kind of inflatable T-Rex costumes that are, you know, let's be real, kind of lazy? Well, my grandma did that for me before it was cool. So, and then decidedly uncool, but yeah, it was super cool. So if I can find some pictures, maybe my mom has them or something, I'll throw them up there. But yeah, it's just like a super cool like T-Rex costume that my grandma, you know, made for me, and that was really cool. So yeah, that was the first Halloween costume that I can remember. It's just a fun time. So I think I've talked about like this before, but I grew up in Maine, and if you know anything about Maine, for the most part it's very rural, so I never really got to go trick-or-treating in like a huge community or anything like that growing up. It was mostly just like the small trailer park for the most part that I lived in. But it was still a lot of fun, and you know, I really appreciate my grandma for making me a super cool costume, and you know, it was cool. So it was just fun, good memories with my family and stuff like that. But what is your guys' first memory of a Halloween costume? Do you know, even remember, what is your favorite Halloween costume that you've had before? I did like a cosplay. Like, when I was in the military, I think we had, like, a little Halloween party, and I did, like, a kind of like a cosplay of Starkiller from Star Wars. If you know, Star Wars Unleashed. I thought that one was pretty fun. I had the lightsabers and shit like that. I don't think I have any pictures of that, but if I can find them, that was cool. So that was probably my favorite one that I did. I actually put in a little bit of effort into that. I'm not very crafty. I am not very good at crafting, like making stuff, but I think it was pretty cool nonetheless. So anyway, let's go ahead, wrap up this gauntlet, see N's fancy new dragon at the top of the tower, and let's go ahead, head back to Nacrene City for a little bit more of gauntlets. Did I say Nacrene? Yeah, I said Nacrene. I meant Nimbasa. So I'm going to head to Anvil Town to grab a rare candy. This is a pretty quick one. I think I'm going to cut back on saying which rare candies I'm grabbing. I have a whole playlist for runs, so if you are interested in what rare candies that I usually grab, go check out some of those. But this is a pretty good one for nice and quick, especially now that I got Fly. I've usually been grabbing this on my returns back to Nimbasa. So let's head back out towards the desert. I will say though, along the way, I'm going to grab the soft sand from the guy with the black glasses, and the black glasses are in the soft sand. Sure, why not? So I'm also going to grab the fossil from the girl on the inside here for some potential fling strats later on. I don't think I actually end up using fling in this run, but it's not really that bad of an option to have in your back pocket, and fling is cool, so there is that. As we make our way through the gauntlet, I'm going to pick up Earthquake along the way, which is awesome. Now we have our pretty much go-to move set right now with two very powerful stab moves and a great coverage option as well. So let's meet up with Getsis on the bottom floor, get lectured at a little bit. Then we can actually head to Nacrene this time to get a funny looking rock, and then head back out towards Icarus City, where we can meet up with Bianca on Route 8. Alright, let's do this, Bianca. She hasn't really been a problem throughout this entire run, and I'm not really expecting her to be this time around either. So, thanks to that Intimidate, Stoutland is going to be living our super effective Brick Break, but it's not really that big of a deal. Simisage is going to come out. Shadow Punch also lives that, but thanks to that Iron Defense that we set up earlier, we're able to easily tank the hit, knock out Embor with a single Earthquake, and Musharna, of course, is going to drop to that Shadow Punch. Let's go. So, a little bit annoying, pretty easy fight though. So, let's meet up with Getsis and his ninjas on the bridge and head into Opelucid City. As we make our way through the gym, pretty much only veteran Hugo right here lives a hit. So shoutouts to him and his Drudagon. So yeah, he's pretty much the only thing that you more or less have to worry about, unless you're like really weak to some of his Pokemon or you're just weak in general. So let's go ahead and face off with our final gym leader. Alright, time for Daddy Drayden. He leads off with the Fracture. I'm going to go for an Earthquake. That's going to drop thanks to that Soft Sand boost. Same thing with his Drudagon. And Haxorus does drop as well. Let's go. You love to see it. So, yeah, veteran Hugo gave us more trouble than our final gym leader. Maybe Hugo should be the gym leader. You know, you think about that? Yo, Hugo 2025. Let's go. So, anyway, let's head out towards Route 10, do a little bit of training, and then face off with Cheren. Alright, let's do this, Cheren. So he starts off with that Unpheasant. This thing has just been mostly annoying the entire run. Does look like I'm just barely missing out on the 2-hit KO on it, which definitely really sucks. Get to level 55. I'm going to go into Superior now. Shadow Punch as well, looking like it's not going to be a 2-hit KO, and I'm actually going to take a reset right here. But just like I did with Berg, I'm actually going to go back and battle one wild Pokemon really quick so I can actually start the fight at level 55. So yeah, not half bad. So let's go ahead and see how that fight goes. Second time around, Unpheasant's going to lead off. I'm going to go for an Iron Defense as it goes for an Air Slash. So Brick Break is going to be able to get the 2-shot this time around, which is great. Superior does outspeed, but does not go for a Coil. So even though I'm brought into the low red, I'm actually able to outspeed the Simipour and the Liepard to get the 1-shots on both. Thank you, Jolly Nature. Let's go. So yeah, very close fight, but hey, a win is a win. It doesn't matter how much HP you end on. So let's do a little bit more training as we make our way through Victory Road, and then I'm going to pop out on the other side at level 58. All right, let's go. Caitlin is up first, and what do you know? We're going to click Expert Belt boosted, Shadow Punches, and everything is going to drop easily enough. So yeah, one more onto the Musharna. That's going to go down. Last but not least is the Gothitelle. Waste our time with Frisk, and there we go. Easy peasy, moving on. For Chantal, we do lose Iron Fist thanks to us touching her Cofagrigus and getting Mummy, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Jellicent comes out, we dodge Curse Body. Thank you, very nice. Probably should have gone for Earthquake on Chandelure so I don't have to worry about Flame Body shenanigans, but that's okay. And then one more Shadow Punch to win the mirror match against her Golurk, and we can move on to our next member. In my first run, Grimsley actually gave me a ton of problems, but I have Iron Defense now. Unfortunately, though, Scraggy does live a Brick Break, and I get hit by a couple of sand attacks and stuff, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I get to level 60, Crocodile is going to come out and intimidate me, but that's still going to go down to a single Brick Break, and that Intimidate's not going to save that super frail Liepard or the Bisharp that's 4 times weak to fighting. No critical hit on the Night Slash, so that's really nice, and there we go. Yeah, pretty easy first try win. Let's go ahead to our last member. So Marshall is last, and you would think that a fighting type leader wouldn't be a problem for a ghost type, but his throw has payback and we can't even come close to one-shotting it. So Sock also does have sturdy, but it doesn't have a great move to hit us, so it's just gonna go for a couple of stone edges, and then I'm just gonna knock it out. So that's pretty cool. So Conkeldurr is also going to live and do a lot of damage to us. Mienshao is last, but we're actually going to be able to outspeed it and knock that out as well. So yeah, we do take a lot of damage, but still a pretty easy win. Let's head downstairs and see how Alder is managing with N. N summons his gigantic castle out of the ground somehow, and it's going to be up to us to chase him down through it because Alder couldn't hack it. Come on, man. All you got to do is get some super ancient automaton golem dude, and you can actually do pretty good. So this thing actually hasn't been half bad. So we're going to make our way through the castle, grab one more rare candy, and then in the throne room, right before we face off with them, we're going to pop them all for level 68, just in time to take down the man himself. By having a full party, we can deny adding Reshiram to it so we can lead Zekrom v Golerk. Let's go. So I'm going to set up a couple iron defenses right here. Zekrom can do basically nothing to us, so that's awesome. We outspeed the Vanillux. That's going to go down. Caracosta, thanks to those iron defenses that we set up, his waterfall does absolutely nothing, and all we have to do is just deal with some sturdy shenanigans. Archeops comes out. We outspeed that as well. That's going to go down to a single Shadow Punch, and then a couple of Earthquakes for the Kling Klang Zoroark, and then the real Zoroark, the real Kling Klang. So, jeez. Yeah, pretty easy fight. Iron defense still coming in clutch, but Getsis is going to come in, throw his little tantrum, and it's going to be up to us to take him down. Alright, let's do this, Getsis. Once again, we do have to touch a Confagrigus, so we're going to lose Iron Fist, but that should be alright because we get the nice one-shot. Get to level 69. Very nice. Earthquake onto the Seismitoad. That's going to drop. Hydreigon, thanks to that jolly nature and all of those rare candies that we spent, we actually outspeed it. And Electros is going to be able to live thanks to us losing Iron Fist, but that's okay. Bisharp is going to go down to a single brick break. Bouffalant is going to actually live the Earthquake and be a little bit annoying with a heal, but no problems whatsoever. And there we go. We have completed the game with our Golurk. Not half bad. Of course, I do end my timing at the end of End's final dialogue. So wrapping things up, this was actually a ton of fun. Sure, Golett did have a lot of struggles in the early game, especially around Lenora, and even Route 5 Cheren. Usually that's not really that much of a problem point, but for Golurk, it really was today. And there we go. We get a final time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 23 seconds with a blackout counter of 13 and 4 resets. So, yeah, not the best performer, but I think this was actually pretty solid. I actually really enjoyed this run a lot, so definitely made me think. Will No Guard be better than Iron Fist? I don't know. I do think that Iron Fist was gave me a lot of good options. Missing the spell tag didn't really affect too much, but it kind of maybe could have made that that Cheren fight a little bit more consistent right out there in Twist Mountain. But overall, though, it really wasn't that big of a deal. So let's wrap up the credits and see how we rank this guy. And there we go, we see our final in-game time of 5 hours and 4 minutes. Not half bad. Let's bring in the tier list where we see it is sitting right there now at the top of B tier above Hydreigon. So not half bad for a Pokemon that still also takes a really long time to evolve. So overall, I had a ton of fun with this one. I thought it was a great kickoff to Spooky Month, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So be sure to come back next week where we continue on with the spooky, scary Mons, where we're going to bring out the goth girl herself, Gothitelle. So this is going to be definitely an interesting one. I'll be honest, not one that I've been looking forward to doing, but that's okay. So overall, I hope you guys have been enjoying the content so far, and I hope you guys have been having a great spooky month so far. I know it just started, but that's okay. And yeah, come back next week for Gothitelle and continue watching for some more spoopy Pokemon throughout this whole month. So anyway, that's going to be it for me today. Like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.